Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWS College Basketball Thursday. That means we're talking Pac-12. I'm going to go through 4 of them on this video. Whatever I don't get to, we'll go through on the live show tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll line up 10 or 11 games, or we'll see what we can find. So whatever I don't get to here, we'll go through on the live show. 4 games. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWS. The SWS. Hey, get the SWS.
Let's start out in the Big Ten. We got Nebraska on the road at Ohio State. Buckeyes are laying points, -2.5 here at home. Total sitting at 144.5. Betting trends on the Nebraska side, just 3-6 against the spread on the road this year. 11-6 against the spread in conference play. 4-1 against the number in their last 5. Betting trends on the Ohio State side, 5-9-1 against the spread at home this year. Just 6-11 against the spread in Big Ten play. They are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5, so they've also been covering the number. Let's take a look at the recent production from these two teams, and obviously Nebraska has a more impressive resume in the last 10. They're 7-3 compared to 3-7 for Ohio State. Nebraska just 1-3 on the road in that span, though. Ohio State 2-2 at home. But look at the strength of schedules. 18th to 44th. So we got to take note that Ohio State in the last 10 games has definitely played a bit of a stronger schedule. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Nebraska's offense. Got to give the edge to Nebraska on this side. I mean, efficient field goal percentage is not close. 68th to 286th. Now, again, Ohio State has played a stronger schedule in the last 10, but these aren't even close. 68 to 286 is a serious discrepancy. And you can see Ohio State defensively isn't good at anything. Rebounding, terrible. Turnovers, terrible. Shot zones on this side. Obviously, we need to take a look at the three-point shooting. We're talking about Nebraska ball here. You can see Nebraska frequency from above the break, 41st, 40th in efficiency. They've been an excellent three-point shooting team recently. They're even 67th from the corner three as well. Look at Ohio State's defensive numbers against the 2 3-point zones. 332nd and 351st. That's called a mismatch. That being said, we do have to mention that Ohio State did do a solid job against Michigan State on the 3-point line, holding Sparty to just 4 of 15 from outside. So they do have terrible numbers against the 3-point shot, but they did do a decent job recently. On the other side of the court, we got the Ohio State offense, and edge goes to Nebraska again. Look at efficient field goal percentage, 31st to 223rd. Again, if it was closer, we could take the strength of schedule into consideration here, but 31 to 223 is not close. Shot zones for Ohio State offense, and we can pull up the numbers from the mid-range shooting. Ohio State hasn't been terrible shooting the mid-range shot. From the short mid-range, 88th and 138th. Long mid-range, 104th and 228th. But Nebraska actually has decent defensive numbers against the mid-range shot. In the last 10, they're 108 and 117 from the 2 mid-range zones. So I'm really not seeing a ton of angles here as far as an Ohio State bet. We can pull up home away splits because we know Nebraska definitely has a worse record on the road, but the numbers don't really support that. You can see their efficient field goal percentage actually better on the road. Defensively, slightly worse on the road, and the rebounding numbers are definitely worse on the road as well, but as a whole, these aren't crazy home away splits, and when we pull up those same splits on the Ohio State side, there's just not much of a home court advantage here. Actually, as far as offensive numbers and rebounding goes, Ohio State's been worse at home. So, look, I know Ohio State's been covering the number recently, but there is no way in hell I'm laying points. I know it looks like a sharp spot to play Ohio State as a favorite. No way, not doing it. Give me the Huskers. Nebraska plus 2.5 next game. Stanford is on the road out in Utah. Utes are laying 7.5 points at home. Total sitting at 153.5. Betting trends on the Stanford side: 3-5-1 against the spread on the road this year. 7-9-1 against the spread in conference play. Just 1-4 against the number in their last 5 overall. On the Utah side, 7-5 against the number as home favorites this year. Just 5-11 against the spread in Pac-12 play. And they're also just 1-4 against the number in their last 5 overall. Recent production from these two teams. Obviously, Utah's resume is more impressive in the last 10. Utes are 4-6 in their last 10 with the 69th strongest schedule. Stanford just 3-7. Strength of schedule just 126th. Stanford also just 1-4 on the road in that span, while Utah is 3-2 at home. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Stanford's offense. Kind of a wash on this side. I mean, I guess if you factor in the strength of schedule, you can give the slight edge to Utah, but not by much. EFG, Stanford 94th to 184th. So shot making, always the most important stat when it comes to basketball. Stanford's offense has the edge here. You can see the Utes definitely have the edge on the glass, though, 171st to 322nd. Shot zones for Stanford, and check this out. Stanford should have looks from 3 in this game. In the last 10 games, Stanford's 47th in frequency above the break, 105th in efficiency, so they've been doing a good job shooting them. Utah defensively just 314th in efficiency against the above the break three. So Stanford should have looks from out there. On the other side of the court, we got the Utes offense, and you got to give the edge to Utah on this side, but it's not an overwhelming mismatch. In fact, Stanford actually has the rebounding edge, so neither team should really get many second chance opportunities here. But EFG 199 to 296 in favor of Utah. Shot zones for the Utes offense. There's two zones we can look at here. Number one being the rim. You can see Stanford really struggling to protect the basket in the last 10, 308th in defensive efficiency down there. Utah's been really efficient scoring, 20th in efficiency scoring down there, but just 216th in frequency. So attacking the basket isn't a huge part of the Utah offense. The other zone we can pull up is above the break three. They're 65th in frequency, Utah. So they're taking a lot of shots from out there, not really hitting them. Just 257th in efficiency, but you can see Stanford's defensive numbers out there. I mean, there should be opportunities for Utah to hit their outside shots in this one. The main story for Utah's offense in the last 6 games has been is the game home or away, because you can see points per game. In their last 3 at home, they're averaging 83 points per game as a team. On the road, just 66.3 points per game. So the fact that this game's home at home at Utah is huge. Speaking of home-away splits, let's check out Stanford's. You can see offense is definitely way worse on the road here, but the defense is actually much better. They're 316th in defensive EFG at home, 118th on the road. So Stanford's defense has actually produced much better on the road. When we take a look at Utah splits, we kind of already covered this. Utah, as we know, much better team at home all season, significantly better in all 3 major categories. As far as betting this game, kind of a tough one to bet here, because I definitely understand why this line is 7.5. I mean, the home away splits alone is enough to put this line at 7.5 for Utah. And Utah as a whole has looked much better. Like the optics, as far as wins and losses, final scores, box scores, Utah has looked much better. But as far as basic efficiency numbers go, the gap between these two teams isn't that big. Plus, Stanford should have looks from outside in this one, and if they're falling, I think they could keep this one close. So I'm going to roll with Stanford here. I don't know if I'm actually going to bet this one. I want to talk to a couple people first, but I like Stanford at the big number. Next game. Staying in the Pac-12, we got UCLA on the road at Washington here. Washington laying 4 points at home. The total sitting at 138.5. Betting trends on the Bruins side, 6-2-1 against the spread on the road is impressive. 9-6-1 against the spread in Pac-12 play. 3-2 against the number in their last 5 overall. On the Washington side, they're also 3-2 against the number in their last 5. Just 6-8 against the spread at home this year, though. 9-8 against the spread against the Pac-12. Recent production for these two teams, edge definitely goes to UCLA here. UCLA 7-3 in their last 10, 4-1 on the road in that span. Washington just 4-6 in their last 10, just 2-3 at home. So definitely the early optics. Edge goes to UCLA here. Now, strength of schedule has to be factored in. UCLA at 143rd, Washington at 101st. So we have to take note that Washington has played a stronger schedule, but overall, UCLA has been the much better team. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and as always, we'll start with the road team's offense, UCLA. I'm going to give the edge to the Bruins on this side. I mean, mainly because of rebounding and turnovers. UCLA may not be hitting their shots. You can see the EFG 302nd to 216th. But look at the rebounds and turnover edge here. 69th to 172nd, 46th to 224th. So UCLA may not be making their shots, but they're going to have the maximum number of possessions in this game. Shot zones for UCLA's offense, we could definitely take a look at the mid-range shooting here. You can see UCLA taking a ton of these. 9th in shot frequency in the country from the long mid-range, 40th from the short mid-range. Efficiency-wise, they're 79th and 268th, so not exactly crazy efficient shooting the ball, but look at Washington's defensive numbers in these zones. 109th against the short mid-range, 305th against the long mid-range shots, so UCLA should have opportunities to score. On the other side of the court, we got the Huskies offense, and I got to give the slight edge to Washington here as far as the surface level numbers go. Efficient field goal percentage, 63rd to 201st, and then you factor in that Washington's also played the stronger schedule in the last 10. Definitely got to give the edge to Washington here. I will say, though, huge rebounding edge in favor of UCLA's defense. So not going to be many second chance opportunities for Washington here. And shot zones on this side, look at the basket. Washington should be able to score down low in this game. They're 91st in frequency, 24th in efficiency in the last 10 games. So scoring at the basket has been a huge part of the Washington offense. Look at UCLA's defense, 297th in efficiency protecting the rim in the last 10. So that's a mismatch. Washington should score down low. Home away splits for UCLA, not much here. UCLA's offense has been terrible at home, also terrible on the road. The defense is actually slightly better on the road, rebounding slightly better at home. On the Washington side, though, look at the efficient field goal percentage numbers here. 24th at home compared to 199th on the road. After that, though, actually the defensive rebounding numbers slightly better on the road for Washington. As far as betting this game, personally, I think the handicap points towards Washington if you can get like a 3.5, 4. But I just don't want to step in front of UCLA right now. I mean, this team's playing much better than Washington. They're finishing games better. They're 4-1 in their last 5 on the road. And I just don't trust this Washington team enough to lay 3.5, 4 points here. I can't see Washington controlling this game start to finish and winning by margin. So I see a 4.5 on FanDuel. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to take UCLA. I mean, they've just been playing much better, even though the handicap probably points to Washington. Give me UCLA plus 4.5 next game. Gonzaga on the road at San Francisco. It's Don's time. San Francisco plus 4.5. Total sitting at 155.5. Betting trends on the Zag side. 4-4 against the number on the road this year. 7-7 against the spread in conference play. 2-3 against the spread in their last 5. But it's important to take note, in 4 of those 5 games, they're 2-3 against the spread. They were favored by 14.5 or more in 4 of those 5 games. So they're only laying 4.5 here. This is a little bit different of a situation. On the Don side, San Francisco 8-6 against the spread as home favorites this year. 7-7 against the spread in conference play. 3-2 against the spread in their last 5. Recent production from these two teams, I mean, both of these teams have been playing well. Gonzaga is 9-1 in their last 10, 4-0 on the road in that span. They are just 209th in strength of schedule, so they've had a bit of an easy schedule. I mean, but San Francisco's 165th, so you're not going to play a grueling schedule out there in the Western Conference there. San Francisco 7-3 in their last 10, 4-1 at home in that span. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that these two teams already played. It was in Spokane. Gonzaga won that game 77-72 on January 25th, so they would have covered minus 4.5, but that was at Gonzaga. This one's at San Francisco. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Gonzaga's offense. Edge definitely goes to the Zags here. I mean, they're making their shots and they're protecting the ball at an elite level. 2nd in EFG, 3rd in turnover rate. So not that San Francisco's defense has been terrible, but definitely edge goes to the Zags here. But I do have some good news for the Don's defense. As you can see from these shot zones here, the Zags have been eaten down low. They're 1st in efficiency at the rim, 2nd in efficiency in the paint. So the Zags have been very strong scoring on the interior. I don't know if that's going to be here on the road at San Francisco. San Francisco's defensive efficiency in those two zones, at the rim and in the paint in the last 10 games, 58th and 107th. On the other side of the court, we got San Francisco's offense, and I'd give the edge to the Dons here based on the service level numbers, 27 to 133rd in EFG. Zags do have the rebounding edge, though. 121 to 272, but overall, based on these numbers, give the edge to the Dons. Shot zones for the San Francisco offense, we need to take a look at 2 here. First, we'll start at the basket, and I'm worried about San Francisco here. You can see scoring at the rim is a big part of the Dons offense. 74th in frequency, 13th in efficiency in the last 10. Gonzaga's top 100 protecting the basket. They're 95th in the last 10. So not a great matchup for San Francisco there, but look at the 3 ball. Above the break, San Francisco 53rd in frequency, 89th in efficiency. Gonzaga against that shot, 248th, 288th. So the 3-point looks are going to be there for San Francisco. Home away splits for Gonzaga. I mean, not really an issue here. In fact, you can probably make the argument that Gonzaga's been better on the road, rebounding 4th on the road compared to 32nd at home. These numbers are pretty close. On the San Francisco side, you can see the offensive rebounding numbers slightly better at home. Look at the defensive VFG here. 29th on the road, 238th at home. So they haven't been playing the best defense at home. But as far as betting this game, I am on the Dons here. It's going to be a 3-point party in San Francisco. Dons should be live. Taking them plus 4.5. I'll probably bet them on the money line too. Give me San Francisco. As I said earlier, live show 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go through a bunch of different games. I'll have guests on like we do every day. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Also, NBA live show at 4 p.m. right after. So college basketball 3 p.m., NBA 4 p.m. If you want my top bets for all sports parlays of the day, or you'd like to join our Discord, head over to Kirms.com. It's right there on the homepage, the information to join. College basketball Thursday, not a great day for college basketball, but there's definitely some spots here. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.